I of course must recognize how honored we are that today we are blessed and privileged to have our esteemed Governor General, Sir S.W. Tapley seated. Please give him a special hand of welcome. I recognize equally my cabinet colleagues, the Honorable Jean Hamilton, the Minister of Agriculture et al. Give him a special round of applause. For this occasion is his moment. We want, of course, also to thank our Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Lindsay Grant, for being part of today's special opening. And traveling all the way across the waters of Nevis to St. Kitts, because he holds the Minister of Agriculture there, and he appreciates the importance of solidarity and partnership in the development of the agricultural sector, is Minister Alexis Jeffers. Give him too a special hand of welcome. And we recognize and thank all those high officials and distinguished representatives, both of government ministries, the Ministry of Trade, with Permanent Secretary Weeks, the Ministry of Agriculture, with Permanent Secretary Edwards, our representative of the Chamber, who is here in the President himself, Mr. Farron Lawrence, and of course, without the partnership of the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, who is represented here by His Excellency Tom Lee. Give him a special hand of welcome, and whose government and people have since 1981 been partnering with the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, because it was way back then that the agricultural mission and the agreement relating to the establishment of that mission first commenced, long before 1983, in which Sir Tapley helped to give us an independence constitution. So agriculture came before independence. It is important that we remember that. The independence and the signing of the diplomatic relationship provide a more structured arrangement for government-to-government collaboration. I am delighted to see good friends like Augustine Merchant representing AICA. Let's give him a special hand. Could Mr. Merchant stand? And we have Mr. Fleming. Please stand. We want to welcome him. He served with distinction in Nevis, leading the agricultural effort, and then the regional bodies saw value in his work, temperament, and capability, and he has been serving the Federation in a representative capacity. While I serve as Minister of Agriculture, it was always a pleasure to deal with Mr. Merchant, and he continues to serve. I want to especially welcome Mr. Fleming, who represents Cardi. Could you stand, Mr. Fleming? And could we also give him a special round of applause? And importantly are the farmers who are here, and several of whom are outside, attempting to make today one of their best days for cash sales. Let's give all the farmers in St. Kitts and Nevis a special round of applause. I want to recognize here Otis Jeffers, I think he is, from Keon to the back. Give him a special hand, for Otis is one of our best farmers. When I served as Minister of Agriculture, I visited his farmlands in the hills of Keon, and today he's still here pressing on. So we want to commend him and many others, the young people like Matthew in Molyneux and Brown in Connery. These are some of the young champions now engaged in agriculture. And so when people ask about the demographics and the chronology in terms of age and the involvement, I feel optimistic that if the circumstances are right, we could get more of our young people to make this their career. Before them were the Armstrong and others who got involved in a young age. And for all of their lives, agriculture is what they have known and what they remain committed to. So I just wanted to salute these young people. And the gentleman who spoke before me, Lionel Stevens, who hailed from Sandy Point, has been a good leader in the agricultural sector. I gather he did the poem before me, Monkey Too Bad. And I'm not going to speak about the badness of the monkey, so to speak, today. But Stevens has led a young group of farmers of the Sandy Point community, including Mr. Weeks and several others out of the Fig Tree area. When I was Minister of Agriculture, let's give Lionel to the back there, white shirt, a round of applause, and thank them for their contribution. But they came together as a young group. They reorganized agriculture in terms of the cooperative arrangement. And a number of them, at the time, if my recollection is right, was about 6, 7 of them have come together and said, we will farm together as a group, and we will market together as a group. And as a result of that, they took upon themselves the task of reorganizing the old Sandy Point market. And every Saturday, one could go there and get agricultural produce, fresh at an affordable price, and other products. I want to commend him and those young people for leadership and partnership in agriculture. Give them again a round of applause. Yellowman is here, and I understand that Yellowman is now one of our lead farmers. Yellowman, could you stand? And let's give him a round of applause. These are all important personalities, and in a manner of speaking, today is about them. Today is about a conversation about their role in nation building. Today is about a conversation about the challenges which they face, the opportunities which are available to them, and how all of us working together can make their life better while they themselves contribute to our efforts at economic growth and development and creating the kind of society with which we can be proud. So I have come today as His Excellency, our Governor General, has come, and the Minister of Agriculture has come, although he is obliged to come, for this is an agricultural event, as the Minister of Tourism has come, and other high personalities have come to say to members of the farming community, you have our support. We are with you, and we are prepared to give all that we reasonably can for the forward thrust and development of the agricultural sector. And you can count on that. That is why, for example, in the aftermath of the hurricanes of 2017, when many farms were disrupted and disorganized, we instituted a response mechanism, put hundreds of thousands of dollars available to the farmers, and made that available to them for inputs so that they could restart early, take up the pieces again, and do what they have done successfully, feed the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to commend Minister of Agriculture, Minister Hamilton, who came to the cabinet and made the case. And we distributed close to $500,000 in support for fencing and various inputs. I think the government deserves a commendation for that effort way back then. And then later, when we recognized that an additional boost was required, we put $2 million in the development bank to assist farmers in further reorganizing their farms. Farmers and fishermen in the reorganizing of their operations. Again, over 200 plus farmers benefited from grant financing. It was, I think, last November, December, Mr. James, that we gathered here, and there was the distribution of tracts to farmers on the island of St. Kitts and on the island of Nevis. In other words, the government is prepared to put its money where its mouth is. We don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk, and we back the walk with dollars and cents. That is the kind of support you will continue to get under a Team Unity administration. So we are with you. We understand some of the challenges. And the Minister, Lindsey Grant, spoke about his own life and association with farming. I could speak of that life too. For my father, a man from Nevis, proud man of the soil, tilted the land and toiled on it as he worked in the sugar estate. And I too recall taking the water on my head in buckets to water the turnips and all the other crops, cabbages and tomatoes, which were part of his own effort at food security and perhaps more importantly, supplementing the family income. So I know at times it's hard work, and maybe all the time, it has always been hard work. Because I recall accompanying my grandfather way up in the hills. In the good old days, farming had always been on the periphery. It was when land was laid fallow as it was by the estate owners, you get an opportunity to grow. So you went up in the hillsides to do your farming. And as land was given out and the SSMC had the pattern then of giving you some. This year maybe for yam or sweet potatoes or onions, and you get 2 rows, and we participated in that. 2005 is important in the history of agriculture because for the first time it released in a more permanent way the opportunity for large-scale agriculture to take place because the sugar industry had been closed. It is a matter of some regret that between 2005, enough had not been done with those lands that had now become available and to put them to productive use for agricultural development in the country. And that is why today, in 2019, some of the problems which were there 26 years ago still remain. That is why today, as it were 26 years ago in some respect, farmers and agriculture are subject matters still somewhat in the periphery. That is the challenge we have as we consecrate the future of agriculture in St. Kitts and Nevis. And that is why when the Honorable Minister spoke to the role of agriculture in nation building, the role of agriculture in the context of food security and even health security in particular, we have to begin to look not so much as challenge and challenges, because challenges there will always be. And part of the challenge for nation building is that our sons and daughters must look beyond challenges to find opportunities to pursue and to succeed. That is why today a farmer like Yellowman can stand. Because although there are difficult times, and farmers like Miss Nisbet and the Pembertons and all the women folks who have been there, they can stand. Miss Davis from Phillips, they can stand because they look beyond the challenges to an opportunity for self-employment, for independence, to create a livelihood. That is the test of development. That is the test of survival. And it is those of us who understand that more quickly, who are able to persevere, that are going to succeed. The analogy sometime it was given about development and its challenges, we must always put in focus, sometimes in our excitement to push up, to make things happen so quickly, we forget that it took time to make the world. And it will take time to meander out of some of the challenges that we face. And I am saying, never lose hope. Never lose hope. You have to press on. Nurse Manning is here as one of perhaps our best known nutritionists. She persevered. I recall seeing Nurse Manning way back then on the television, coming on a regular day. Mrs. Rogers, you would have seen her. Haynes would have seen her. And several of us would have seen her. I have to recall, because I used to go to Miss Akers' shop in Tabernacle to buy my bread and whatever little things they had way back then which were nice for children. And I thought, and I wasn't thinking in a very bad way, but in those days we had a word we called MAGA in the country. And it was very interesting that Miss Manning, so small and dear and telling us not to eat this and not to eat that. And sometimes we used to say, Miss Manning, you see how Miss Manning's so small? That is what happened when you follow her advice. I have since learned that following her advice leads to better and more healthy living. So I want to thank you for persevering, Nurse Manning, in the message of proper nutrition and its value. Ultimately, again, as we face the task of nation building, we want healthy people. The leadership of the Caribbean have said that the health of the nation is the wealth of the nation. Because really it is healthy people that must contribute most to the forward trust, to the forward movement of our country and our region. So I'm happy to come to give a word of encouragement to you and to say that we will stand by you and we will give strong support to the proposals from the Ministry of Agriculture. I want to say that we can look at agriculture, and certainly the remarks that we have looked at it from several perspectives, all of which are important. The food security matter, the economic growth, the nation building, and so on and so on. When we look at the stats which have been released from the Ministry of Agriculture regarding the various sectorial or subsector performance, we get an indication of where we're at in food security. And we see that there has been mixed performance. Somebody earlier spoke about the need for predictability in production outputs. So we have seen, and I want to commend the livestock sector in 2017 producing 324,900 pounds of livestock. In 2018, that went up marginally to 329,850 pounds, up by about 2%, but still, let's give a round of applause to those who are engaged in livestock activity in our country. I want to applaud the efforts of those who are involved in poultry and in particular egg production. In 2017, the records show we had 4.4 million eggs available. In 2018, we went up by 45,000 to 4.497 million. Give a round of applause for those who are involved in that area of activity. And we see that in crops, there was a decline in output from 945.3 kilo, 1,094.5 to 9.4.3 thousand kilos. So we had a drop in the production of crops. And what are those areas? Our fruits, our vegetables, those showed a significant decline. And so we know that we have to do more, produce more, get more farmers involved, producing quality products, and engaging in particular our young people in production activities. In the traditional definition of agriculture from the FAO, it includes not just crops, not just fruits and vegetables, but it also includes a fisheries subsector. I note in the data provided by the agriculture that is not reflected. Again, it is an important area of engagement. And I've asked Mark Williams for the stats. The stats reveal that in 2014, the country produced 606,000 pounds of fisheries product. Whether it was kingfish or dolphin or lobsters, we need not get into the detail. The country had 606 pounds of fisheries products available. Importantly, in 2018, if Mark's arithmetic is right, the country produced 908,000 pounds of fisheries for a nigh 50% increase. Let's put our hands together for a significant development in the fisheries sector. So that provides some hope as to the journey and the prospects. I want to commend Park Hyatt because it is one of the hotel facilities that have taken a deliberate decision to buy as much as it can locally. I know the Spencer brothers, their fishery products have quick access there, or at least up to the last time I checked. And I want to commend the Marriott because when they started first, they were not as receptive to the local production. I had several battles with them, and I went public with my battles with them. And I was glad that when Jack Hamu and others came, they showed a greater sensitivity. And I'm pleased sometimes when I go there, I see the brimstone, pepper sauce, and other local products. That is what we want. We want to see those who are involved in agro-processing have more receptive markets for their produce so that they can live from these things. So in closing, I want to commend the work of all. That is what the partnership is about. Everyone working together, each one producing, each one achieving something as a result of their contribution. There will come a time when we will raise the performance of our agricultural sector, which is now a non-sugar agriculture, that it can become a more significant contributor to our GDP statistics. As it is now, agriculture is a very, very small proportion, about 1%. 1%. It meant then that we have come a long way from a time when sugar was king, where agriculture was the most significant employer of labor, the most significant contributor of foreign exchange, and a significant part of our GDP. And so there is a lot of potential for agriculture to do more. As we expand, as we get new farmers, as we apply the technology and the research, we certainly can rise the profile of agriculture to become even 5%. The truth is, as we look to nations that are successful, each and every one of them pay particular. Each and every one of them would pay particular attention to agriculture. One of the most protective countries in relation to agriculture is the United States of America. And it is the largest economy in the world, whether it is wheat or other products. We look at Taiwan, which ranks in the top 15 countries in the world in terms of the size of its economy. Agriculture is significant there. We look to Guyana, and we see that if we go in any restaurant there, or the Pegasus, or the Marriott, there is always a significant supply of local produce. We have to do a better job at feeding ourselves and at feeding our country. In the definition given by Minister Lindsey Grant regarding the notion of food security, they made it a borderless issue. Because all you need to have to satisfy that is access to affordable food. It didn't say it has to come from within. That definition allows for those big countries to always to send to us. And it is always easier for them to send products in than for us to get ours out. Whether it is flowers or mangoes, we have challenges. Days come in, and that is part of the difficulty with the international trading system. When a hurricane comes, and we pray we will have no more for the rest of our lives, and agriculture gets its bashing, there are days and weeks, if we are not careful, where there is nothing. We have to determine now which of those products, Mr. Director of Agriculture, and I end it in 1 minute, if I go over by 1 second, stop me. Which of those products we need to focus on in the context of food security? Will it be breadfruit, which is of better nutritional value to the white rice, so that when no white rice is there after hurricane, it really doesn't matter, because breadfruit and yams and so on are available. In the context of the Taiwanese approach to agricultural development, they tell me that they keep in storage always an excess supply of certain commodities for the event of war. The country is not kept off guard. Taiwan has a hostile neighbor. In the event of war, certain products are kept in reserve. As we confront climate change, hurricanes in particular, the Department of Agriculture must think, if the worst happens, what are the things? St. Kitts and Nevis for 2-3 weeks, 1 month, must have adequate storage of these so that we do not go hungry. Thank you again for coming to this 26th edition of Agriculture Open Day. And may the future be bright and prosperous for our farmers and country. May God bless the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. May God bless us all. I thank you.